Okay. Mic check 1 2 1 2. It's the Y2K collector, and November was amazing. From start to finish, the month was jam-packed with surprises, both locally and abroad. I was able to find new locations to source retro games. I was able to add some top-tier quality to my collection. And most importantly, I got to spend some much needed time with the family while enjoying one of the best Thanksgivings that I've had in quite some time. And so it was truly a great month. I'm looking forward to December, but I figured I'd take a look back just to see how crazy of a month November was, because so much went down, too much to jam into a quick video like this one. But I figured I'd share some of the highlights with you and kind of let you know a little bit about what's been going on both locally and abroad. And if you're interested in knowing more about the games, I did create a video about that, which you can check out on my page. But let's dive into this store called Eye Throwbacks. And this was a store that is within the New York City area that I did not know was even around. And I happened to go into the store and check them out once I learned that they were in existence. Shout out to Doshi Got Deals. I caught one of his videos where he gave Eye Throwbacks a shout out, and I said, well, you know what, I'm in the New York area and I'm always looking for new places to source retro games, and so I figured I'd stop in there and see what they had to offer. And I was pleasantly surprised when I got there. They had a lot of just really nostalgic memorabilia, not just from a video game standpoint, but from a pop culture, movies, television, fashion, sports. They had all types of stuff that just kind of give you that feeling of not just the 90s and 80s, but more specifically the 90s and 80s in New York. And if you're anyone who grew up in the 80s or the 90s, those were decades where we were less connected by the internet. So back then, every city felt like it had its own distinct personality and its own distinct feel and vibe to it, because we weren't connected by the internet. Today, because, you know, I can sit in Nebraska and see what's going on in Chicago, a lot of the cultures tend to bleed into one another, and you see cities adapting terminology and slang and stuff that's not really native to that city, but because the kids are watching it on the internet and stuff, it starts to just spill over. And in the 80s and 90s, it wasn't like that. New York was New York, LA was LA, Chicago was Chicago, DC was DC. And when you walk into the store, there's a very distinct 80s and 90s New York vibe to it, which I think was a real breath of fresh air, and just kind of took me back to just a really amazing time and era for me. And so not only was I able to bask in the nostalgia at the store, but I was also able to snag some really great deals while I was there. As I said, I put out a video talking about a lot of the pickups that I was able to make in November, and from Eye Throwbacks I was actually able to get a complete original Xbox. I also picked up a copy of Lost Kingdoms 2, also picked up a copy of Fatal Frame 2, just to name a few games. I picked up a lot more games from them, but we were actually able to work out some really great trades. I had a few extra copies of some GameCube games that the store owner saw some value in, and so I traded up some GameCube games, including Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, Mario Party 7, and was able to get some great value back. So really great store there, and I definitely recommend anyone who's in the New York area to check them out. Now, I also got to do some game hunting at GameStop, and of course I still got some free games. GameStop is still handing out free games, so I was able to get a free copy of NFL Street, But I also took advantage of GameStop's buy two get one during the Thanksgiving Day or Thanksgiving weekend and Black Friday weekend. But even before Black Friday, I was finding all types of games at GameStop, including a copy of Pokemon Gale of Darkness. Also picked up Final Fantasy Dirge of Cerberus. Just a few really cool PlayStation 2 games. And then outside of GameStop, I also went to one of my other local retro GameStops. Not GameStops, but it's actually just a retro game store where I was able to trade in a whole bunch of just, Xbox games, Xbox One games, some PlayStation 2 games that I'm not really playing. And out of that trade, I was able to get some really good additions to the collection as well, including Baldur's Gate 2 on the PlayStation 2, Pac-Man World 3, was able to get a complete in-box copy of Spider-Man for the Super Nintendo. Just a number of really great pickups that I was able to make in November. And so, with all these trades, was just able to add a lot of really good value and a bunch of games that I'm really going to enjoy and keep in the collection. And it's just interesting to see where the collecting market is at, because in some places, some stores won't take games at all. Some stores will take certain games, but you'll get like a nickel for them. It's just the collecting scene in the retro market is all over the place. And I think that it's definitely leaning more towards some of the higher end games. I feel like we're definitely kind of going back to a place where the higher tier, higher end games is primarily what a lot of store owners, and GameStop included, that's what they're looking for. But I think it makes it a really great time if you're new to collecting, because the price for common games, for common retro games, are so cheap that you could build a really great and substantial collection without having to break the bank or spend a lot of money, because a lot of the games that people are looking for aren't these low tier games. So I think there are three major benefits to starting a collection in 2025. Benefit, and not even just starting a collection, but starting your collection with cheap games. And three of those benefits are that, one, you won't have a lot of competition when it comes to looking for and sourcing cheaper games. Two, they're cheap, so the prices are great. You never have to worry about overpaying or overspending. And there's a high likelihood that you'll get them for free. And then the third benefit is that a lot of these games are ready and available in a number of places. You can find them at GameStops, mom and pop shops, thrift stores. If you're looking for lower end cheap games, and lower end and cheap games don't mean that the games are bad, it just means that they're cheap. And there are a lot of very fun and cheap games out there. So those are three amazing benefits for anyone who's thinking about starting a collection with cheap games. And I think if I had to start in 2025, I might start there just to get the ball rolling. And then as you kind of figure out what style of game or what types of games you like, then maybe you can niche down into certain genres and start looking for maybe more of the heavy hitters in certain genres. You definitely don't want to just start going around buying up all the expensive stuff straight out the gate, because that's just going to be a one-way ticket to not continuing in the hobby of retro collecting. So but yeah, I mean, look, a lot of these places, GameStop, mom and pop shops, there's definitely a shift, definitely a change and a turn in the tide when it comes to like what's being carried and what they're looking for. And I say, try to grab stuff now, try to grab the cheap stuff now if you can, because now is probably one of the better times to get that stuff than ever. And, because of where I'm at with my collection, I'm definitely a little bit more picky. And so, it means my taste is probably going to continue to shift as time goes on. Now, I was lucky enough to actually travel to Denver to spend some time with friends and family over the Thanksgiving weekend. And shout out to Cody with a K. I think Denver is his backyard. I think Colorado is his backyard. I think he's from Colorado. So Cody with a K, if you're watching, I was in your neck of the woods doing some game hunting. And I wound up running into a store out there It was a kind of a mom and pop. I think they're called Level 7 Games. A really cool store. They had a lot of good stuff in there as well. While I was there, I was able to get a copy of Puppeteer, as well as Paper Mario 1,000 Year Door. So picked up 2 games from them, but their store was jam-packed with a bunch of really good stuff. Unfortunately, I was on a time crunch, so I didn't have, you know, the time to kind of really dig through their inventory like I wanted to. But they definitely did have a copy of Super Turrican 2, and that's probably like the only store that I've ever seen that's actually had a copy, an authentic copy of Super Turrican 2. So shout out to Level 7 Games for even having a game like that in store. That's one that's not only like expensive, but it's really rare. And I don't know if I've seen an authentic copy of that game in any store. So, but like I said, they were jam-packed. They had a lot of good stuff in there, and they were offering 30% off almost all games in the store. I think excluding GameCube, because GameCube is still just, I guess, one of the more harder consoles to source for in terms of finding GameCube games. So those are still in high demand, but they were offering 30% off. So I technically could have gotten that copy of Super Turrican for about 215 bucks, but that was just a little bit more. I didn't want to bite off more than I could chew, and I'm kind of regretting it now. I'm like, man, I should have got it. But it is what it is. I'm sure that I'll run into that game again. But yeah, really great store, really great stuff. And there were other game stores in the Denver area, but I didn't have the time. You know, I was really trying to balance the time between family and gaming, and you know, just, you know, wanted to see what was there, but didn't want to lose sight of what I was really there to do, which was to get that family time in. And so we made our way back to the East Coast, and you know, it's good to be back. But overall, I gotta say, November was a great time. Enjoyed it thoroughly with friends and family, and hopefully you did too. And hopefully you were able to get some great games and find some great pickups. But let me know down in the comments. Let me know how your Thanksgiving was. Let me know how your November was. Did you find anything fun? Did you spend good time with family? Did you eat good food? I'm interested to know. But that does it for me. It's the Y2K Collector, and I'll catch you in the next video. Take it easy.